Welcome to Martial Arts and Medu Netter. Today we're going to segue into a different subject, a subject that I think is pretty important, and it's a subject that should have been dealt with years ago. I realized that when I was going to the University of Cal State Hayward, there was never really a debriefing program or in history or sociology. I never saw an African American debriefing a lecture or paper or book. And I just figured that everybody deserves a debriefing. When military go to war and they come back home, they need a debriefing before they go back into society with their families, wives and family and neighborhood. Everybody deserves a debriefing, but African Americans never received a debriefing after over 100 years of the cruel institution of slavery, then Jim Crow, and then riots, and all of a sudden we were thrust free. We were now free and integrated in society, and we were just supposed to believe everything that we were told. We were told that Christopher Columbus discovered America, capitalism is the way to go, communism's bad, those people over there they're savages, and we have all the right ideas and right ways. Okay, so since I never saw a debriefing, I wrote one, and it's called The African American Debriefing. Also subtitled Reality Check, Debrief from Social Media Programming, Brainwashing. So I'll start. Number 1, Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben were archetype characterizations made up by Euro-American people. These colorful characters represented the good and safe Negroes who could be trusted by Europeans. Examples are movies like Gone with the Wind, Uncle Remus, and Uncle Tom's Cabin. Number 2, Tarzan, King Kong, Curious George, and of course, The Curse of the Mummy. These are movies that are repeated over and over in American Hollywood. These films are part of American social programming as a continuation of race-based dogmas created during the eras of enslavement and oppression of African peoples. They represent racist views, such as that Guerrilla Negro Association. Or how about that pervasive curse theme that is so indicative to many Western religions and philosophies? Curse this, curse that, curse Ham, curse the mummy. Number 3, Curious George was not really a monkey story. The cartoon story was based on a real man. I think his name was Ota Benga. Look it up in the Wikipedia. A pygmy boy, Ota Benga, was kidnapped from Africa, displayed in the Canadian World's Fair as a missing link, and later placed in the monkey cage in the New York Zoo. His release was finally won by the activism of black ministers, but the damage had been done. The poor man eventually committed suicide. Number 4, the best hypnotic programming is the one you never notice. Wow. Number 5, images of God, angels, and prophets portrayed as white Europeans have been used to promote white colonialism and to justify slavery, oppression, and genocide. Ugh. Let's jump to number 9. There has been more intentional damage and destruction to ancient Nile Valley, that's ancient Egypt and Nubia, artifacts, especially portrait facial features, than any other group of ancient artifacts in the world. Yep, damage to African artifacts, broken noses. Number 10. The bust of Queen Nefertiti in the Italian Museum is a Nazi fake. Yeah, I said it and they've been knowing it. Number 11, most academic accreditation programs are scams. Most are actually run by private corporate firms. Look it up. The Federal Reserve is, number 12, the Federal Reserve is not federal. Look that up too. Don't believe my word. Look it up for yourself. The Federal Reserve is not really federal. It has some governmental icing on the cake, but the cake itself is not federal. It is a syndicate of world banks. Number 15, the African Moors conquered and ruled Spain for 700 years. I would love to see that movie. I have a black director do a movie of that period. Number 20, you are not free. Sorry, it's an illusion. Number 25, there is no such thing as Latin or Mexican soul music. The bands Malo, the Santana Brothers, Pete and Coke Escovedo, and other San Francisco bands were originally good copy bands who received their music from music producer Graham, compliments to the Verve Records label. The music style, songs, lyrics, and even some music solos were created by Afro-Puerto Ricans such as Sonny Henry and Willie Bobo. Wow. Number 30, most cartoon companies, including Warner Brothers, MGM, Hanna-Barbera, and Walt Disney, produced highly racist cartoons in the 50s, 60s, and 1970s. Wow. And number 31, there was not one single black instructor in Cal Berkeley's Department of Egyptology, Near Eastern Studies Department, Middle Eastern Studies Department, or Museum Studies. Not a single black or African professor, assistant professor, or visiting professor. I've done the audit myself twice. Number 38. The movie Blood Diamonds was a false operation. It is not true. True blood diamonds come from the De Beers Consolidated Mines of South Africa and Rhodesia. Over 90% of the diamond mines in Africa are owned by the Anglo-American Corporation. It's not what it appears to be. Those fake movies just do misdirection so you can go after some black warlord and say he's the cause of all the blood diamonds and all the misery. It's not true. The Anglo-American Corporation has managed and run the diamond mines, De Beers diamond mines, since 1917. I won't tell you who owns. Find out yourself. Find out who has stock in the Anglo-American Corporation. Find out yourself, because you don't want me to tell you. Number 40. The Nazis aren't dead. BMW, Mercedes, I believe Audi, I'm not sure about Audi, but maybe Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, those were all Nazi companies. They were Nazi companies, the families were Nazis, and if they would have won the war, they were going to kill all the Jews and kill all the black people second. That's what's going to happen. Now, maybe we should forgive them now because those days are over. That was 1945. But Hitler almost won that war. If Hitler would have won that war, they were going to kill Africans and black people in 10% increments until 2/3 were dead. Then the rest they were going to enslave. That's written down. That was a Nazi plan. So we're making those families billionaires, buying Mercedes, buying Porsches. Yeah, and we didn't know, so we can't, we didn't know. But it's something that critical thinking to think about, how we keep these families going who were Nazis, who are now, maybe they're not Nazis now, but their great-grandfathers were Nazis, and those companies were all owners and presidents were having lunch, shaking hands with Hitler, and talking about eugenics and annihilating black people around the world. Okay, enough for today. Until next time, hotel.